In this video, I'm gonna give you the most comprehensive guide to maximizing your Airbnb earnings that exists anywhere on YouTube. Now, I know that sounds like a bold claim, but by the end of this video, you'll see exactly why I can make it. This isn't just theory or basic hosting tips. I'm gonna walk you through 11 proven strategies that have helped hosts in our community double their Airbnb income. I'm talking about hosts going from $3,000 a month to over $6,000 a month. And I'm gonna show you exactly how they did it. Now, full disclosure, this video is gonna be longer than my usual content. But here's why that's actually good news for you. Instead of just scratching the surface, we're going deep into each strategy. You're gonna get the exact steps, the specific tools, and even the scripts we use in our most successful properties. This is part one of a two-part series where I'm breaking down everything you need to know about hosting on Airbnb. In this video, we're focusing on maximizing your earnings. In part two, I'll show you how you can automate everything so you can run your Airbnb from anywhere. Before we dive in though, I need to share something that might shock you. After working with thousands of hosts over the last 8 years, I've discovered that about 90% of Airbnb hosts are leaving hundreds, if not thousands of dollars on the table every single month. And I'm not talking about small amounts here. Just last month, we had a host who implemented these strategies and increased their monthly revenue by over $2,000. And they did it with about 15 minutes of work. So if you're ready to seriously upgrade your hosting game, grab a notebook because this video is literally worth thousands of dollars. Let's dive deep into strategy number one, mastering your pricing. This section alone could double your revenue if you implement it correctly. First, let's talk about why most hosts get pricing completely wrong. Here are the 3 biggest mistakes that I see. Mistake number 1, manual pricing. If you're still setting your pricing manually, you're leaving money on the table every single day. The market moves way too fast for manual pricing. Demand can spike or drop within hours based on local events, competitor changes, or even weather forecasts. Mistake number 2 is using basic dynamic pricing tools without proper setup. Just turning on a pricing tool isn't enough. You need to understand how to configure it. Mistake number 3 is not understanding your market's booking patterns. Every market has unique patterns, and if you don't know yours, you're basically flying blind. So here's exactly how to fix these issues. First, you need a dynamic pricing tool. I personally use Price Labs, and it's the one I recommend for other hosts as well. It's the best on the market, but here's the key. The first step to properly setting up your pricing tool is establishing your base price. This is where most hosts mess up. Let me walk you through my exact process for finding the perfect base price. Step 1, look at your future pricing graph in Price Labs. This shows you how your listing is priced compared to everyone else in the market. Adjusting your base price will update the graph so you can get things where you want them. Step 2, set up seasonal patterns. Most hosts miss this completely. Create seasonal periods in your Price Labs to fine-tune your pricing for different periods of the year for high season and low season. During the low season, you want your prices to be among the lowest. During the high season, you want your prices to be among the highest. And during shoulder seasons, you want your pricing to be somewhere in the middle. This will ensure that you're always getting booked, but without leaving a whole bunch of money on the table. Now let's talk about optimizing your length of stay. This is where you can get really strategic with your pricing. Different lengths of stay have different costs. Let me break this down in a way that'll make perfect sense. Think about a 1-night stay versus a 3-night stay. With a 1-night stay, you're paying for cleaning, you're doing the turnover, and you're using supplies, all for just 1 night of revenue. But with a 3-night stay, you're spreading those same costs across 3 nights. This is why you need to be smart about how you discount things. Here's exactly what I recommend. No discounts for shorter stays of 1 or 2 nights. A small discount, maybe 5% for 3 to 4 nights, and then 10% off for 5 to 6 nights, and 15% for weekly stays or longer. Inside Airbnb Unlocked, my brand new book, I've included my complete pricing strategy guide with exact formulas and settings. You can grab your free copy using the link in the description down below. Let's move on to strategy number 2, listing optimization. And we're gonna start with your listing photos because this is where you can really make your property stand out. First things first, you need professional photos. But there's good news. You don't need to spend thousands of dollars. You just need the right photographer. Look for someone who understands Airbnb photography. There's a big difference between regular real estate photos and photos that actually get bookings on Airbnb. When you're getting ready for the photo shoot, here's your checklist. Deep clean everything, set up each room to look gorgeous and inviting, get some props ready, maybe a coffee cup on the patio table or some wine glasses on the kitchen. Make sure all your lights work. clean your windows, and open all the curtains to let in all that natural light. Now, here's the secret to photo order that most hosts get wrong. Start with your absolute best shot. If you've got an amazing view or a gorgeous pool, that's gonna be your lead photo. For a pro tip, search on Airbnb for competing listings and make sure your cover photo doesn't just blend in with the crowd. Use colors and lighting to make sure your photo stands out. Next, show your main living space, but make sure it looks inviting. Add some throw pillows, maybe a blanket on the couch, make it feel like home. After that, showcase your best amenities. Whether it's a hot tub, a killer kitchen, or an awesome outdoor space, whatever makes your place special. Then from there, take your guests on a tour through the property, room by room. But here's another pro tip. Between each room, add a lifestyle shot. Maybe someone enjoying a cup of coffee on the balcony or working from your office space. These shots help guests imagine themselves actually staying there. Now, for your listing title and description, this is actually super simple once you know the formula. Your title should include your best feature and your best location perk. Something like mountain view cabin, 5 minutes of skiing, or luxury condo with hot tub, walk to downtown. For your description, don't write a novel. Break it down to simple sections with bullet points. Remember, people skim, they don't read. All right, let's move on to strategy number 3, property optimization. This is where you can really set yourself apart from other listings in your area. And the best part, most of these upgrades pay for themselves within just a few months. Let's start with the absolute essentials, your tech setup. First, internet. Here's something that'll save you a ton of headaches. Get 2 separate internet networks. One for all your smart devices and security systems, and another just for your guests. You'll never have to worry about your security cameras going offline because your guests are streaming movies. Next, here are the must-have smart devices. First, smart lock. I recommend the August lock. Next, smart thermostats, and then lastly, a noise monitor device. Now, let's talk about the rooms that matter most to guests. In the kitchen, here's what actually makes a difference. A really good coffee setup, quality cookware, not the cheap stuff that you'll need replacing every single month, sharp knives, and basic cooking supplies. For bedrooms, there are 3 things worth splurging on: a high quality mattress, good pillows, and great blackout curtains. Trust me on this, people will forgive an outdated bathroom way faster than they'll forgive a bad night's sleep. Speaking of bathrooms, here's what guests actually care about: great water pressure, clean white towels, a shower head that's tall enough, and good lighting. Now, let's talk about something that's become super important lately: a workspace. If you don't have a dedicated workspace in your property, you're missing out on a huge part of the market. Here's what you're gonna need: a proper desk, not just the kitchen table, a comfortable office chair, good lighting, extra power outlets, and a monitor is a nice bonus. One host in our community added just these 3 basic things to their workspace, and their bookings increased by $500 a month from remote workers staying longer. Now let's talk about those nice to have amenities that can really set your place apart. But here's the thing, you don't wanna just start buying random stuff. You need to be strategic about this part too. Here's exactly how to figure out which amenities are worth adding. First, look at your competitors' 5-star reviews. I'm serious, go ahead and read like 20 of them. You'll start seeing patterns of what guests absolutely love. Next, look at the 3 and 4-star reviews. This is a gold mine because it shows you what guests wished was there. And then from there, create what I call an amenity wish list and divide it into 3 categories. First, low cost, high impact. These are things like USB charging stations or a Bluetooth speaker. Second, medium cost, medium impact, like a smart TV or a coffee machine. And third, high cost, long-term impact, like a hot tub or a fire pit. Here's the key though. Don't just add amenities because other listings have them. Add amenities that make sense for your target market. Let me give you a real example. We had a host in BNB Tribe who noticed a lot of guests mentioning they wished they had games for rainy days. Instead of just buying random board games, they put together a full game night setup that included board games, playing cards, a puzzle table, and even some local snacks. Their investment, about $200. But now they mention in their listing title and their bookings have increased along with their review ratings. Here's another power move. Look for amenities that photograph well. Things like a hammock with a view, a stylish record player, a properly staged wine or coffee station, or outdoor string lights. These things might not be deal breakers for guests, but they make your listing stand out when people are scrolling through the different options. Now remember, sometimes the best amenities aren't things you need to buy. For example, we've seen hosts have great success with things like a local guide that they put together, a recipe book of local specialties, or a welcome basket with basic items, or even partnerships with local businesses for guest discounts. The goal here isn't to outspend your competition, it's to be more thoughtful about what your specific guests actually want. I go into much more detail all about property optimization, including my full amenity checklist in Airbnb Unlocked. The book is completely free to download. Just click the link in the description down below. Now, strategy number 4, platform settings and features. This is the technical stuff that most hosts completely miss, but it makes a huge difference in your bookings. First up, Instant Book. Turn it on. I know some of you are worried about bad guests, but here's the thing. Airbnb's algorithm heavily favors instant book listings. You're getting way fewer views if you don't have it turned on. Plus, there's a secret setting most hosts don't know about called Good Track Record. Once you turn on Instant Book, go into your hosting preferences and activate this setting. It makes sure only guests with good reviews can instantly book. Another setting you need to check is your booking window. Open it up as far as possible, at least 12 months ideally. Here's why. The further out you're bookable, the more likely you are to get those premium bookings. Think holidays, special events, peak seasons. These guests plan way ahead and they're willing to pay top dollar. Also, check your minimum and maximum night settings. A lot of hosts set these once and then never change them again, but they should actually change based on the season and how far out the booking is. Here's my perfect formula. For peak season, 3-night minimum or longer, and for off season, 2 nights is fine because you need the bookings. For any bookings more than 6 months out, go up to 3-night minimum or longer, and for holidays, at least 4 nights minimum. Now let's talk about cancellation policies. This is where a lot of hosts get scared and make the wrong choice. Airbnb will tell you to keep your policy flexible. They'll say it attracts more bookings, but here's what they don't tell you. Flexible cancellation policies attract flaky guests. Set your policy to strict. Yes, you might get slightly fewer bookings at first, but the bookings you do get will be much more reliable. Here's the thing, you can always choose to be flexible if a guest has a genuine emergency, but if you start with a flexible policy, you can't suddenly get strict when you need to be. Strategy number 5 is all about maximizing revenue from each booking opportunity. First up, filling those pesky gaps in between bookings. Most hosts just let these sit empty, but here's how to turn them into extra revenue. Let's say you've got a 2-night gap right between your bookings. Instead of just hoping someone books, here's what you can do. Message the guest on either side of the gap. Something like, hey, guest name, I noticed you're checking in on a Friday and traffic is probably going to be heavy. If you'd like to come up on a Wednesday or Thursday and work remotely, I can offer a 20% discount on those extra nights. This works incredibly well. We've seen hosts in our community fill about 40% of their gaps this way. Next up, early check-ins and late checkouts. This is literally free money that most hosts leave on the table. Here's exactly how to do it. Set your regular check-in time to 4 p.m. and set your checkout to 11 a.m. Offer early check-ins at 2 p.m. for $50, and finally offer late checkouts to 1 p.m. for another $50. But here's the key. Don't just list these as options. Proactively offer them to every guest 3 days before their stay. We found that timing is crucial. 3 days out is when guests are finalizing their plans. As a pro tip, you can use an AI tool like Bestie AI to do all this upselling for you completely on autopilot without you needing to think about it. Now let's talk about repeat bookings, because this is where you can really build consistent income. The secret weapon here is email marketing. Here's how to set it up. Step 1, get a tool called StayFi. It creates a special Wi-Fi login page where guests have to enter their email in order to connect to the internet. This way, you capture everyone's email, not just the person who booked with you. Step 2, set up a monthly newsletter. This can highlight things like upcoming events in your area, seasonal photos of your property, special offers for past guests, plus any upgrades or improvements that you've made on your property. One host in our community got 3 repeat bookings in a single month just from sending out a newsletter about a local festival. Strategy number 6 is all about communication that converts. First up, your response time. This is critical. Airbnb's algorithm heavily favors hosts who respond quickly. Here's my rule. Never let an inquiry sit for more than an hour during the day or longer than 8 hours overnight. Pro tip, set up notifications on your phone, but only for new inquiries and booking requests. Turn off all the other Airbnb notifications so you don't get too overwhelmed. Next, let's talk about a review strategy. Getting 5-star reviews consistently isn't just about having a great property. It's about setting expectations and following up the right way. Here's my exact review strategy. During the stay, check in with guests on day 1. Address any issues immediately and set a mid-stay message for longer stays than 4 nights. After checkout, send a review reminder within 2 hours of checkout. Include guidelines that help guests to leave accurate reviews and remind them what they loved about their stay. Here's an example. This approach gets us review responses about 70% of the time compared to the average of 30%. Lastly, never let a booking inquiry go cold. If someone messages about your place but doesn't book, follow up exactly 24 hours later with something like, "Hey, guest name, just wanted to check if you had any other questions about the property. I noticed that you were looking at dates in whatever month. I've had a few inquiries about those dates, so let me know if you'd like me to hold them for you." This follow-up strategy converts about 25% of cold inquiries into bookings. If you want my complete set of message templates and guest communication strategies, you'll find them all inside of my new book, Airbnb Unlocked. Again, you can download a free copy using the link right down below this video. Strategy 7 is all about optimizing your property's presence across multiple booking platforms. Now, I know some of you might be thinking, I'm barely managing Airbnb, why add more platforms? But here's the thing. You're missing out on entire groups of potential guests by staying only on Airbnb. Let me show you exactly how to do this the right way. First, you want to get on VRBO. But here's a pro tip. Don't just copy and paste your Airbnb listing. VRBO guests are different. They're typically families looking for longer stays with higher budgets and are more likely to book way in advance. So adjust your listing accordingly. Highlight family-friendly features, emphasize longer stay amenities, and add more details about the neighborhood. One host in our community saw their bookings increase by 20% just by adding VRBO as a platform. And these were bookings that Airbnb wasn't bringing in. Next up, booking.com, but only if your property is the right fit. Here's when booking.com makes sense. You're in a city or a tourist area, your place is 2 bedrooms or less, and you can handle shorter notice bookings. But here's the key with multiple platforms. You need a channel management software to avoid double bookings. Trust me, trying to manage calendars manually is asking for trouble. We're gonna dive into full details on this later on in part 2 of this series. Now, I know this has been a lot of information, and that's exactly why I wrote Airbnb Unlocked, to give you a complete reference guide that you can use to implement all these strategies step by step. The book is completely free and it includes detailed checklists for every strategy that we covered. We've got my complete set of templates and scripts, step-by-step implementation guides, and a lot more strategies that we didn't have time to cover in today's video. And don't forget to subscribe for part 2 of this series, where we'll cover how to automate your entire hosting business. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.